Recording is on.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga for All on this nice snowy morning here in Minneapolis. So we had some requests today to revisit neck and shoulders, a little bit of release there, and also some hip openers today. And our theme for the month of February is finding the breath. So I have a new pranayama technique to teach you today. It's called the Bellows breath, the Bhastrika breath, and it's a nice energizing breath. If you would like to start seated in a chair for that breathing, feel free to do that, or we'll dig you down onto our mat, maybe on a little cushion, supporting you up off of the floor just slightly, so you're comfortable. I also have my yoga strap and block with me today. So let's begin in a comfortable seat. When we're doing the pranayama techniques, it's good to have a clear airway. So you might, if you're feeling a little stuffy or snotty nose, yes, I said it, snotty nose, you might want to blow your nose just so that you have clear nostrils. And also, if you're feeling a little stuffy and you have some essential oil, something like eucalyptus, something with menthol, peppermint, that opens up the sinuses. You can drop a couple of drops into your hands, rub them, breathe out and feel your sinuses opening. If you don't have an oil like that and you've got a little jar of Vicks Vapo Rub that you haven't opened in years, sometimes that's nice. You can just dab a little bit and breathe that and open up the sinuses. So the breath is really important, as we know, but I've been really feeling more focused on the breath now that we're in this pandemic of COVID. Because what is causing people to pass away in the hospital, they're not able to breathe and they're being ventilated. They're not able to get air into their respiratory system. Then that oxygen is not able to provide the nutrients they need to their muscles and to the brain and all of that. So it's so important that we have a very strong respiratory system. So today with the breath pattern we'll be learning, I don't want you to do a whole bunch of these because you can start to feel a little hyperventilated. So be really aware of what you're feeling in your body. But for breathing, we want to be able to take in a nice breath. So we need to have that ability to ventilate air. So clear, unobstructed nostrils and throat. So we want to create a long airway. We don't want the chin to be tucked forward, pinching off our airway, or our head back too far. So a nice neutral spine. We're going to be breathing in and out through the nose, and we'll be pulling that breath way down deep into the lower belly and using our abdominal muscles to pump the air in and out. So it's called the bellows breath, and most of you know what a bellows is. So if you're trying to get oxygen to a small flame in your fireplace, it's got handles on it, and you go, and as you're opening it, it pulls air into the bellows, and as you squeeze it, it pushes the air out, and that stokes the fire of the fireplace. Very much in the same way, this bellows breath is going to stoke our own fire. So we're going to feel more energized. Our heart rate's going to pick up. We're going to be able to not only bring the air in to our circulatory system where we need it, but it's going to force out the carbon dioxide that tends to build up in our blood because of metabolism. So too many of these can make us feel a little lightheaded. So I don't want you to go there. This breath can be done very fast, but today we're going to do it a little slower so you can really feel it. Maybe 1 second of timing on each inhale, 1 second on each exhale. You can place your hands on your lower belly if you want, so you can feel your belly moving in and out. When you inhale, and this is all through your nose, your belly's going to go out towards your hands. When you exhale through your nose, your belly's going to flatten, and you're going to hear that breath in and out. So I want you to just try a couple, and see how you feel comfortable with that breath. You're going to make it as deep as you can as we're doing this slow, so it's not a real shallow breath. So inhale through the nose, the belly goes out. Exhale through the nose, the belly goes in. And you're thinking of that bellows coming in and coming out. So now if you feel comfortable and you have it, we're going to do 10 of those breaths together. So what I want you to do, hands can be on your lap or on your belly. Just take a nice big breath in and then exhale all your air and get ready to begin. And after that 10th breath, just relax and close your eyes. I just want you to notice what you're feeling like right now. So a lot of sensations can be going on. If you close your eyes and you're starting to feel a little bit dizzy, that's a normal response to this breath. Just open your eyes so you don't feel dizzy. You could feel a little bit lightheaded. That's why we don't do very many of these at a time. But we're going to repeat this breath a couple of different times during our class in different poses. So let's just bring our arms out. Just take a nice full inhale, stretch up, and exhale, lower the arms. Just let your breathing come back to normal. Your energy come back to normal. Feeling maybe a little spike in your heart rate after the bellows breath. Maybe a little tingling in your body. One more breath. And exhale down. Now just start to tip your head from the right to the left, slowly lengthening the sides of the neck. So a lot of times we bring tension with us to our mat. We bring anxiety with us to our mat. We bring stress. We bring worry. So I just want you to let that all melt away today. There's no worry here on your mat. There's no stress on your mat. There's no anxiety or tension on your mat. This is a comfortable place, a safe place, a joyous place. Now, as you tip your head to the right, start to make a full circle down with your chin. But as you come up, we're not tipping our head back, just coming back to neutral. So it's right ear, right shoulder, chin to chest, left ear, left shoulder, and back to neutral. We're going around 3 more times. And I just want you to notice, are you hearing any little crunching? Are you feeling any tension? This isn't really vigorous. It's very soft, very mindful. This is our last time around to the right. And then once you come back to center, elevate your shoulder blades up. Press them as far away as you can. And we'll start our circle to the left. Left to your left shoulder. Chin to chest. Right ear, right shoulder. And neutral. Keeping those shoulder blades down, try not to elevate. Shoulder blades are also slightly protracted, drawn back. This is our 3rd circle of 5. Just breathing normally, nice long spine. And one more circle. Coming back to neutral, lift those shoulders up. This time pull them back behind you and press them down. And try to keep them in this position, nice and long, opening through the fronts of the shoulders. Now if you want more shoulder stretch, bring your hands behind your back or take hold of your yoga strap. And we'll hold this stretch through the fronts of the shoulders, taking 3 neck circles starting to the right. Right ear, right shoulder, chin to chest, left ear, left shoulder, and neutral. 2 more circles this direction. And notice how this feels a little bit different with your arms behind you, with that stretch in the fronts of the shoulders and your pecs. When you get to the top, pause. See if you can increase that stretch behind you. And we'll reverse our circle. Left ear, left shoulder, chin, chest, right ear, right shoulder, and neutral. So you might be feeling that you cannot drop your chin as low with your arms behind you because you don't have the ability to round your upper back. So this is all into the neck itself. And coming back to neutral, release the arms. And let's take a side stretch over to the right. Slightly draw this elbow back. We're going to take 3 bellows breaths. So just start with a normal breath in, exhale it completely, and 3 bellows breaths. Return to a normal breath and pull yourself up. It feels a little bit more difficult to take that bellows breath when our spine is not in neutral. So really elongate through the side of the body. Take 1 normal breath in, a normal breath out, and 3 bellows breaths. And breathe normally, stretch it up, and release. Now find a flow with your breath, inhaling on the side stretch, exhaling to come up, normal breath, inhaling and exhaling. Now start to feel where you're finding this stretch. Is it more in your side waist? Is it a little bit in your lower back? This stretches that QL, quadratus lumborum, that diamond-shaped muscle in the lower back. And I want you to start to add a rotation with this. So as we side stretch over, reach to the diagonal corner. Come back up, side stretch over, reach to the diagonal corner. So we're adding a little bit of rotation into that side bend, and this will open up that QL just a little bit more. We're not taking it to a place of pain. Just should feel like a really wonderful stretch. After you finish this last one to the left side, we'll come back to neutral and just check in, see how your shoulders are feeling, your spine and your neck. And we'll twist to the right so this left hand can come across to your right knee. Right hand comes behind you. Lengthen really tall. Create a second spine with that right hand and look over your right shoulder. We've got 3 bellows breaths here. So take a normal inhalation first, a complete exhalation, and then take your 3 breaths. Return to a normal breath and come out of that twist. Reach the right hand across to the left knee. Now, if you're feeling like this makes you too lightheaded to take the bellows breathing today, or you feel like your airway through your nose is obstructed, just take normal deep inhalations and exhalations. Let's look over that left shoulder, a normal breath, exhaling it completely, and 3 Bhastrika breaths. Normal breath and rotate to center. Now open your right arm out to the side, stretch it behind you, and then bring it across your body without moving your spine to the side. So we're just sweeping open, bringing it across. So this movement of our shoulder is called transverse abduction and adduction, or sometimes known as horizontal abduction and adduction. My hand is about shoulder level or maybe a little lower. Let's do one more. Hold it across, and then we'll hook our elbow crease right in place and pull that arm across our body. Now again, make sure you're not turning side, so your shoulders are straight on, and this arm is pretty straight. You'll notice if we bend it when we stretch, we lose that sensation of the stretch here. So try to keep it straight and hook that elbow crease right into your forearm and hold. Now we'll turn our head the opposite direction. So we're looking towards that right shoulder, and I want you to feel that sensation right in the upper part of your shoulder blade there on that right side. And we'll come back to center. Release that grasp on the forearm. Take your arm out. Turn your thumb down. Bring that hand behind your back. And then take your left hand, grab your wrist, give it a pull over. So we have it in place. Hold that little bind, and you're going to tip your left ear towards the left shoulder and elongate the right side of your neck. And then rotate your head so you're turning your chin down. Isn't that lovely? Should feel great. So we're getting this stretch right here in the scalenes, the levator scapula, the muscles that shrug our shoulders up, that we're oftentimes very tense. So let's bring your head back to neutral. Release the clasp on that arm and just place your hands on top of your thighs. Now, if you've been sitting crossways the same way for a while, you might want to adjust the seat position. You can switch the cross of your ankles, or if it feels more comfortable just to sit with your legs extended out, let them come out of that bend for a little bit. That's absolutely fine. It's amazing that we always cross our ankles the same way, so it feels really weird when we go to the other side. We are creatures of habit. So let's take this left arm. Inhale, expand it out. You're feeling a little stretch, and then bring it across the body. So this is dynamic flexibility. It's more of just range of motion. I'm not using an external force to stretch here. I'm just using whatever path my muscles will allow for this exercise to happen. And two more. I like the breath in as the arm goes back, and the breath out as the arms come across. Now we'll bring that left arm across, take the right elbow crease, and hook it in here. This arm is straight, the shoulders are aligned forward. Now, if this elbow hook doesn't feel great for you, you can use your hand. Just try not to bend your elbow. So keep it nice and straight. So now from here, we turn our head towards the shoulder we're stretching. And notice where you're feeling that stretch. Now on this side for me, I'm getting it a lot down my left tricep. I'm really feeling it along here. And that's okay. It's all part of the muscles that we're lengthening. We'll take one more breath. And then exhale, the head comes back to center. We release that elbow hook. Take the arm back out, rotate your thumb down. Reach the arm behind your back. Take your right hand, grab that wrist, pull it over. We're just holding this in position. Tip your right ear towards your right shoulder very gently. And then turn your head looking down towards the right shoulder. Nice long spine, normal breath. Try not to hold the breath. Now on any of these positions, you can try throwing in your bellows breath anytime you want to do that at home and just practice it. Because it takes practice. It takes building strength in your abdominal muscles and a little bit of coordination to be able to do it. Okay, let's bring the head back to neutral. Release the arm from behind you. And place hands on your knees and check in. See how you're feeling. How are your shoulders feeling? Your neck, your upper back. And then we'll transition on to all fours, hands and knees. If you need some cushioning for your knees, we'll be there for a little bit. I always like to pull my blanket across just to make my knees nice and comfortable, or you can make a fold in your yoga mat. If you're home on carpeting, that should feel pretty nice for you. And we are going to come into cat and cow at just whatever pace works for you. I just want you to start to notice your back, your spine. And we'll take that normal breath pattern, inhaling to drop the belly down, lift the tailbone. Exhaling to curve the back up into that cat stretch. Fingertips are spread. The thumbs are slightly tucked in. You're pressing into the ball mound of the index finger, the ball mound of the thumb. One more breath, inhaling cow, exhaling cat. And then I want you to find as neutral a spine as you can. So you have a little small arch in your lower back, your head is neutral, and we're going to try the bellows breath here, 5 bellows breaths. So start with a normal inhalation. Exhaling normally and completely. And then begin. And breathe normally. Press back into child's pose. Drop your forehead to the mat. Stretch through your shoulders and your lats. Now, sometimes when we're doing the bellows breath, we have the tendency to do it backwards. So there's part of our body that wants to suck our belly in when we take a breath in and push our belly out when we breathe out. So it takes some concentration to actually force our belly out when we're breathing in. It takes some time to get that. So if you want to try that from your hands and knees one more time, come back up to all fours, or we're going to try it one more time. This is our last round of bellows breathing, and we're going to do that in our downward facing dog. So either from all fours or down dog. And you can almost look at your belly here, but I want you to sense what's happening in your lower belly. Make sure you're pushing it out when you inhale and you're pulling it in when you exhale. So let's start a normal breath. Inhale. Exhale it completely. 5 bellows breaths. Return to a normal breath and lower your knees down. Find your child's pose, this time sweeping your arms next to the sides of your body. Roll your shoulders forward. How did that feel different being upside down? Definitely a different feeling in that Bhastrika breath. All right, let's rise up to the knees. And we'll take a step forward with your right foot into a kneeling lunge. And we're opening up our left hip flexor so that back leg, front of the hip is where we want to open up. And I want you to take your left hand and put it on your fanny on your left side. You're the only one that gets to do that right now. So I want you to have your hand here because I want you to squeeze that muscle, tighten it, and release it, tighten it, and release it. Now tighten it and hold it tight. Now you don't have to hold on to there anymore because you got it tight and sink lower into this stretch. What is that technique about? When we squeeze a muscle, the opposite side muscle will relax. It's called reciprocal inhibition. And so that tensing of your butt cheek, your glute, tells your hip flexor time to relax, time to stretch. And we get a deeper release here. Let's take one more breath. Now try to keep that tension on as we lift our left arm up. Feel that increase in the hip opener. And then we'll start to turn towards this front leg and bring the hand across anywhere it will touch across the knee. If you want to go deeper, you can bring the elbow across, come into twisting prayer lunge, or just stay right up here and you're anchoring that arm or your elbow on the outside of the knee. Now, did you lose the tension in your left glute? Squeeze it again, squeeze it. Keep it squeezed. Look over your shoulder. You know, there's a lot more to think about in a yoga pose that sometimes we're not there and realizing it. So when we take poses like this, we can layer another element on of mindfulness and really understand what's going on in our bodies. Let's take one more breath. And then come back to center. Release. And then we'll switch legs. So just swing that right leg back behind you. Before you do, just come right up here to your knees and notice if you feel any difference in your hip flexors between the right and left sides. Now, oftentimes for most of us, our right hip flexor is tighter than our left. And it's usually because how old are you guys? I'm 60, almost 62. So how long have I been driving a car? A lot of years, 45 years maybe. And you have that right foot, and I drove a clutch. So you're always flexing your right hip flexor as you're driving. So over time, this side gets tighter. So I want to hold that and really stretch this out. So we'll step our left foot forward, come down into the stretch. And I noticed right off the bat, like, okay, this one is the tight side. So we just hold here. If you need a little biofeedback, you're going to put your hand back on your glutes so you know if you're tensing it or not. Now just squeeze that muscle, tighten it and release it. Tighten it and release it. Tighten, release. Now tighten it and hold. Keep that squeeze and sink down deeper with this hip towards the floor. Let's just hold that as you're squeezing that muscle. I don't want you to feel any strain here. So if you went too deep and your body's saying nope, then back it off a little bit. But I still want you to have the squeeze back in that glute. And let's lift the right arm up. Feel the increase in that hip opener, in that stretch. Then we'll start to turn towards that left knee in front and bring the right wrist or forearm across anywhere it lands and create an anchor for you to rotate. You can also bring this elbow across, twisting prayer lunge, looking over that shoulder. Did you lose the squeeze in the glute? Tighten it up again. And we'll stay here about 3 breaths. Now I got a lot of work going on in my left thigh, just holding this pose too. So it's a wonderful strengthener isometrically for the stabilizers in your leg. And let's exhale, come back to center. And step that knee back onto your cushion, onto your mat. And just come up and notice how you feel. So now that we've stretched the hip flexors here, I want to bring this into camel pose and twisting camel. So take your fists and put them right back onto your sacrum. Squeeze both butt cheeks just a little bit. Allow your hips to slide forward and then just lift your heart up to the ceiling. So we're not doing a big back bend right here in the back. I just want the hips to open up in the front, the chest and the shoulders to open up in the front, and your throat to open up. And it doesn't have to be much. You don't have to go back very far. Just breathing normally. There's that little squeeze in your glutes. Opening up the hip flexors. One more breath. And then exhale as you come back up. Sweep the arms up, reach. Now start to turn to your right foot and then look back for it and see if you can bring your fingertips to touch your heel back there. You can also tuck your toes underneath. See if you can touch that heel. Now squeeze the glutes, so tighten, let your hips push forward a little, lift your heart up, and you're rotating. Now you can either look down towards your hand, you can look up towards the top hand, or more of a neutral head position. Now I want you to imagine that you have two flashlights right on the fronts of your hips, and they are shining two lights right straight ahead. So I don't want your flashlights to come over here. So we're not moving our pelvis. Those stay straight ahead. We're just moving from that lower rib cage up, or from that lower spine up. One more breath. And as you exhale, let that arm reach back up. And then arms drop by your sides. Just check in, see how you're feeling. Maybe a couple shoulder rolls. If you need a counter stretch right now for your back, you can just bring your hands to your mat and take a brief little cat stretch. And then we'll do our twisting camel to the other side. So your flashlights pointing straight forward. Lift your arms. Start to turn to the left side. Look down towards your left heel and see if you can reach your fingertips. Now, if you can't get there, it's great just to support your hand right on your lower back or your fist, just like we did before. Now, really square your hips, lengthen upwards, tighten your glutes, and rotate. Decide where you're going to look here. Maybe up towards that top hand. Stretch and breathe. 3 more breaths. One more breath in. And as you exhale, let that propel your body back up. Reach both arms. Then lower them by your sides. If you have your toes tucked, you can unfold them. Bring your hands back down to the mat and do a little cat stretch as a counter stretch for your lower back. Now we're going to be doing a pigeon pose stretch, and maybe for some of you, you'd like to roll over on your back now and do a figure 4 stretch instead. Sometimes the pigeon pose isn't okay for everyone and for your knees. So we're going to be opening up through that external hip with either one of those poses. So if you're rolling over on your back, you're going to bend your knees and place your right ankle across your left thigh. If you're doing pigeon with me, let's tuck the toes and come up into a down dog. And we're going to lift our right leg up, give it a little stretch, and then bring your right knee towards your right wrist and rotate your ankle inward towards the left side of your mat and just slowly come down. If you're on your back, you're going to pull your knees up towards your chest. So for me, this stretch, I'm pretty tight and I can't get this hip down to the floor. So that's where your block or your blanket's going to come in really handy here. You're going to tuck something right under that hip, the one that's elevated. It would be the right one. So you have some support there. And then we'll walk the hands, fold forward into our pigeon. I'm going to take a look at my timer here. I want to hold our pigeon for 3 minutes. Wherever you feel comfortable. Now it's super important you're not feeling any pain in your knee. So if you followed the one I did and you're all of a sudden like, no, this isn't any good, then come out of it, roll over onto your back and do your figure 4 stretch. So it's most important that you feel comfortable and no strain here as we're stretching and holding for 3 minutes. So this is more of a yin style pose. A yin pose we hold for at least 2.5 minutes, sometimes up as long as 5 minutes a pose. And we really get into that connective tissue as well as into the muscle itself. So we're stretching through the fascia. And we'll just take nice, deep inhalations and exhalations in and out through the nose. As you hold a pose like this for a long duration, you might feel a release happening where you can all of a sudden remove the prop from your hip, or you can go down a little deeper and find a deeper place into this stretch. Now, ideally in pigeon, you should have your forehead supported so you're not straining the back of your neck to hold your head up. So if getting your forehead to the mat is not an option, you can stack your hands or your fists or put a block right underneath your head. We've got just over a minute to go on this side, but if you need to come out sooner, feel free to do so, or just reduce the intensity of that stretch. Notice where you're feeling it. Allow your breath to be slow and even. Check your body head to toe for any undue tension in your neck or your shoulders or your face, your jaw, your eyes, your eyebrows, your forehead. Just let everything melt and soften. We have just about 20 seconds left. So if you are on your back, you're just going to uncross the ankle and do some knee circles, or just move your legs a little bit, windshield wipers. If you're in pigeon, press into the palms of your hands, tuck your toe under behind, slide that leg out, and come either back to down dog or maybe a child's pose. You can pedal out your feet a little bit. Sometimes when we're in a stretch like that for a long period of time, we might feel a little pins and needles, or we just got to get the blood flowing back into the muscles and let anything that was feeling pinched release. Okay, if you're on your back, cross left ankle over right thigh. If you're in down dog, lift that left leg up and bring the knee forward towards the left side of your mat, your ankle towards the right side so it's on a little angle, and then take your time to lower yourself down. Got to get my prop here under my left hip to support that up a little bit. Now, what happens if you're doing the stretch like this? This is okay. If you still feel it and you're kind of over on your side, and that's better for you, that's all right. I mean, in the perfect yoga world, your hips are going to be squared and all of that, but it's all about you feeling the stretch without feeling any pain. Okay, let's lower down. 3 minutes we're holding here. Making sure your forehead is supported. Now, right away, you might be able to notice obvious differences between one side of your body and another. So just notice those differences, accepting those as who you are today and as where you are today in your yoga practice. Our body's always a little bit different each day we come onto our mat. So we have to honor that, be respectful of ourselves. There's no competition. Give yourself some positive self-talk just for being here today and taking care of your body. Find a nice even breath. Try not to hold the breath. That's so important. And sometimes when we're still, or we are stretching or moving our body against a big resistance, we have a tendency to hold the breath. So just keep it moving. Perhaps you can deepen now that we've been in this pose for a bit. And if you deepen the breath, just notice where it's moving in your ribs. A stretch like this kind of compromises the belly breath a little bit. So it's really hard for us to get a deep breath in the belly or in the chest. So we have to learn how to breathe in the backside of our ribs and let those areas expand to allow the expansion of the lungs to occur. Let's see where we're at here on time. Just under a minute remaining. Now try to stay really present in the stretch. Sometimes when we're still, our mind can begin to go other places. We start to think about what we have to do for the rest of the day. So be fully mindful. Stay in the present moment, in this pose, in this stretch. All of the things to do will be there for you when we're finished today. If your mind wanders, bring it back to the breath, maybe counting the in-breaths, counting the exhalations, just really being aware of what you're feeling in your body. Now, if you're on your back, you're going to uncross the ankle, maybe do some knee circles or windshield wipers. If we're in pigeon, press yourself up, tuck the toes under in back, glide yourself back, down dog, maybe pedal out the feet a little bit. Get that blood flowing back to the muscles. And then we'll meet one another back in a seated position for Baddha Konasana, a nice hip opener for the inner thighs and inner groin. It's nice to sit up on a little blanket. We'll bring the soles of the feet together and just let those knees open and just notice where your knees just generally naturally fall. So you might be flopped all the way down to the floor and have really nice open hips, or you might be way up in here thinking, oh, I've got so far to go. Well, this is you where you are in this moment. So just let all the muscles in the groin, inner thighs relax. You can hold at your ankles. Just try not to pull up on your feet. This really stresses that talofibular ligament in your ankle. So we can hold on to the bony part of our ankles. We can press out with our elbows a little bit. Fold forward until you feel a gentle stretch. And we'll hold here. Now we talked earlier about that reciprocal inhibition, where if we tighten our glutes, our hip flexors will relax. They're opposing muscles. We're going to do that here in our Baddha Konasana, in our butterfly stretch. So come back up, and then I want you to push your knees out with the strength of your outer thighs. So you're going to squeeze your glutes and push out, and then release. Push out, release. Push out, release. Now push out and hold. Keep that contraction. Now come forward again in this stretch. Ooh, I don't know about you guys, but I really feel this first round that I'm coming a lot further. That squeezing of the outer thighs is helping us to release those muscles that are tight in the inner groin. We'll take 2 more breaths. You're still pushing the knees open. 1 more breath. And then walk yourself up. Release that contraction of the legs. Close your knees together. We're going to do that again in just a second. Actually, 3 times is a charm. But in between, we'll come into boat pose, Navasana, to work and strengthen our core. So we can lean back a little bit. Feel the abs working. You can keep your feet right on the floor, or we can start to lift our feet up. You can hold behind your thighs if you need a little help here. Drop your shoulders back. Your legs can straighten any amount. And we'll take 3 more breaths. One more breath. And let your feet come down and guide your knees open. Okay, so you might be able to notice where you were in our first butterfly pose. I want you to take your feet further away from your body, maybe about 3 inches. So let your feet slide forward just a little bit. Now, with the muscles of your outer thighs, push your legs out. Bring them in. Push out. In. Again, push. Now press out and hold them out with the muscles and take yourself forward. Now I'm not rounding my back a lot and hunching and curving, although, sometimes I'm okay with it because it sort of feels good, but we do a lot of hunching and rounding anyway in life, so we don't want to do a lot of that in our yoga class. But if once or twice it just feels really good to go, oh, stretch, I'm all right with that. Are you still tightening those muscles, pushing your knees out? Let's take 1 more breath. And rise up. Round 2 of boat pose. Close your knees together, sit back on your sitting bones. Holding here, maybe the feet come up. And we're going to add a twist to the right side as we hold our boat. So I just want you to turn your body. Your knees didn't turn, they're still straight forward. And we'll hold here 3 breaths. Your feet can be down, this is okay. 2 more breaths. 1 more. And come center, set those feet down and rise up. Allow your knees to open. Now come to your natural, normal position that you would do this, but this time you're going to pull your heels closer into your body. And then we will push down and release. Push down. Release. 2 more. Push. This last one, hold it down, hold, and come forward. Ooh, this one is harder for me with my heels closer to my groin, so I'm not coming very far. Keep that tension, pressing those knees out. Keep breathing. You could try the Bellows breath if you'd like here. It's hard to get it though when we're in this position, but you can certainly give it a go. Or even when you're in boat pose, that's a nice time to throw it in as well. All right, let's come back up, close those knees together. Last boat pose. Sink back, find a nice neutral spine. Option to pick your feet up. And we'll turn to the left without moving your knees. And hold 3 breaths. Or try the Bellows breath if you want to get a little fancy. One more breath. And come back to center. Let your feet relax and come up. So we're going to take our Baddha Konasana onto our backs now. There's a couple of things that you can do to make yourself comfortable. You can lay flat on the floor, or if you'd like to give yourself a little bit of an incline, you can use your yoga block. And I'm going to place that right where my shoulder blades would be. And then I'm going to take my blanket. I'm just going to create a little bit of a bolster here. So if you don't have that at home, that's okay. And your lower back's going to go right up against that, the soles of your feet together, and then roll yourself back. And what I like about this extra bit of lift is I can open my shoulder blades, or not my shoulder blades, but the fronts of my shoulders a little more and create a nice stretch. And then allow your legs just to be heavy. Your feet are any distance away from your groin that feels comfortable for you. And we're going to do that same technique, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitated stretching. We're going to squeeze the glute, pull the knees open, then release. Squeeze, open the knees, and release. 2 more. And 1 more. Hold that, pushing your knees down to the mat. We're just going to hold this tension for 5 breaths. You can try the bellows breathing if you'd like, but we're getting towards the end of our practice. So the bellows breath energizes us, and you might be wanting to come into more of a relaxed state and just do a nice slow breath pattern. One more breath in, and then release the tension in your glutes and let your legs feel really heavy. Imagine you have 2 weighted objects, 2 sandbags, or 2 heavy pillows on the inside of your legs, just allowing your knees to open. Your arms can be away from your body just a little bit. Palms are up. And just relax and let those hips open. Allow gravity to work its magic here. So there's no tension in your body. The only external force is that gentle pull, gravitational force on the outsides of your knees. Now, if your hips are starting to feel like, that's good, I've been in this place for long enough, you can close your knees back together, and you can do the reverse of this. So you can let your knees touch and walk your feet out a little, and just let your knees fall in towards one another. And this is a very, very subtle hip opener. It's a nice one to do, and sometimes it makes the low back feel better while you're in this position. And you can also just let your legs slide out to straight. We'll just take a few moments to reflect on our practice today, what we've learned about the breath, what we've learned about opening up our airway, ventilating the breath. And once we get the air into our lungs, that's where the gas exchange occurs. Deep into the lobes of the lungs, the alveoli. We oxygenate our blood, and that flows to every cell of the body, to our capillaries. And we're exhaling the toxins, the carbon dioxide, out of our bloodstream. So the breath is so important. Now, if you're at home and you'd like to remain as you are for as long as you'd like, there's no rush to get up. You don't have to end the meeting on your computer. You can just stay as you are and relax and enjoy. If you're following the sound of my voice, we'll just bend the knees, set the feet flat onto the floor. Reach the arms above the head. Stretch. And then pull the right knee up into the chest. Just hug it in. Set it back down. Reach the arms up. Stretch. Pull the left knee in. And set it down. Now you can either roll to your side and take your time to sit up, or you can start to roll your head and shoulders up, coming all the way back to a comfortable seat. It's always nice once we come back up to seated, just notice the alignment of your spine, maybe move your head around a little bit, move your shoulders around, check in from low back all the way through the crown of the head, lengthen. And we'll take one breath in together, sweeping the arms out, press the palms together, draw the thumbs into the heart as they touch the sternum, and our chin can drop down to touch the fingertips. We express our honor and our gratitude for this opportunity to practice with one another virtually. And the light and love and peace that resides within me honors the light and love and peace in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I'll turn off our Jitsi recording, and if anyone would like to chat about how you felt today, or if you have questions about the breath, that would be super.